Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Weekly Poker Showdown brought to you by Party Poker. I'm your host, Jaime Staples. This week on the show, we have a 15-year-long poker player and a poker pro for most of that time. One of my colleagues on Party Poker TeamOnline, Courtney Gee, known as courtiebee on Twitch. She's going to be joining me. I think such a great person, such a great streamer on Twitch, and a longtime poker player, so really interesting to have a conversation with her, and I'm excited for some of you that may not have heard of her or her poker story to check it out in today's interview. So really excited to do that, but before we get into that conversation, let's start off with some of the online poker news from this past week. Some of the results from this past Sunday, we had Bankroller, who was a UK-based player, took down the $2,100 Bounty Builder Series event on PokerStars. The win was for $102,000, and it comes a fortnight after he won the Sunday Million for $105K. So that is a heater. I want to learn from that guy. Congratulations. Finishing in 6th place in the same event was Fedor Holtz, known as Crown Up Guy. I saw him actually streaming on Twitch. It was really cool to see him out there and creating some content. It was an amazing Sunday on Twitch with so many great creators. So great to see him streaming a little bit of the game. He got a $15,000 prize for the 6th place finish in that one. Meanwhile, the Party Poker Million hit the guarantee. Come on, man, that felt good. It was good to get there with 5,287 entrants, building a $1,057,000 prize pool. Abe Jogli-Belay won the event for $130,000. Apologies on the name. Following a three-way deal with Bite Me, finishing second for $112,000. So big congrats, and I'm hyped that we have over $1 million prize pool going on every week now on Party Poker. Love to see it. First piece of industry news today is actually a story from me. We have a big problem going on Poker YouTube. Long story short, videos are being removed from the website, channels are being striked down and also being removed. And this is under a few rules that YouTube has, that it is being designated as dangerous content or sale of regulated goods. The long story short, you may think, oh, okay, these YouTubers are breaking the rules. We're actually not breaking the rules. I had a vlog channel taken down. I haven't created any content for 8 months, and I never showed online poker on that channel. Most of my vlogs contained no poker at all. It was just about me as a person. So clearly there's something broken with the language in the description or some buzzwords in the audio. The machine is busted. That as it may, the busted machine has to get fixed, right? That's on YouTube, and we can do our best as a community to lobby for that. And I know there's people within YouTube that really care about that because they believe poker is a game that belongs on YouTube and is a game that belongs in the gaming sphere and to be seen. But in the short term, we have people that are on strikes for a week or strikes for 2 weeks that can't upload content on their channel. I'm lucky because I'm a Twitch streamer, so I don't rely solely my income on YouTube. But a lot of the live poker community, that's their primary source of uploading content about poker. And if we want poker to continue to thrive and grow into the future, we need to make sure poker is on the biggest video platform on the internet. So we have a problem. Poker's being wiped away, and we need to ensure that it's put back because we're not actually doing anything wrong here. So my strategy is to centralize all the information. We have a few guys in YouTube that are helping us, but since their name has gotten out there, people have just been tagging them with like, here's the problem, here's the problem, here's the problem. They're getting blown up every day with like these issues. And my thinking is that it's got to be really difficult for them to deal with all of this stuff. They're not customer support people. They're just people that are interested in helping us. And it's going to be hard for them to do their job and to sort of actually help poker if they just have all these information sources coming from all over the place. So what I want to do is help by taking the information down from everyone that's having an issue, organizing that in a spreadsheet, and then sort of emailing that to them every 2 days or every 3 days, updating them on here's all the new problems in poker. So that's just my attempt to make it a little bit easier for them to actually affect change, and hopefully for our channels to be reinstated sooner, our videos that were mistakenly taken down to be put back sooner, the bans to be taken down quicker, and then we can continue to make content on poker on YouTube. So that's my approach. If you're an affected channel, please email yt@pokerstaples.com. yt@pokerstaples.com. If you have a channel that is having videos taken down unfairly, or strikes on your channel, just email me with the information about that. I'll send you an email back what I need, and then I'll send that along. A quick note, please continue to go through the normal channels of appealing your strikes through the customer support. This is just an additional effort to sort of show YouTube, here is all the poker problems in the industry. So I hope this helps. YouTube still has to fix the problem of the algorithm. This isn't going to help that, but hopefully it'll help our problems disappear faster. And we can show YouTube that we're a community that's worth fighting for and is interested in making content on their platform. Following that, we have a little bit of Phil Galvan news and actually some Luke Schwartz banter to go along with it. So Luke Schwartz took to Twitter with a lengthy rant on Galvan. He labeled Galvan a washed-up nice guy who can't beat the top guys in PLO anymore. He also added he's either got too much ego or too stupid to quit. Galvan hit back, hinting at a possibility of a match with Schwartz soon after, saying, "Come on, Luke, call me delusional, outmatched, washed up, nice, nerd all you want, but don't act like I'm dodging our challenge. We'll play when I'm done with a few of these, probably after WSOP, as we've discussed and planned. Do I have to post our texts?" Of course, Phil Galvan and Luke Schwartz have accepted a challenge to play a heads-up match at some point following the Veni Vidi match that is taking place right now. Galvan has currently chosen to suspend his first match of the series. He trails Vini Vidi by over 900,000 euros in this heads-up match after 9,927 hands of the 25,000 hands in the challenge. Other opponents waiting in the wings are Chance Corneth, Bill Perkins, and Dan Jungleman Cates. So what do I think about this? First of all, I'm just scared of Luke Schwartz because I feel like if I had a Twitter tirade coming out at me from Luke Schwartz, I would just be, I'm afraid. There's too many things to poke fun at. Luke, please, mercy. I can't. There's too much stress right now, man. Please, I can't take this. In all seriousness, though, I am a big Phil Galvan fan. It's not that I'm not a Luke Schwartz fan, but I like to root on the nice guys. I want to root for the success of Phil Galvan, and I also don't think he's an idiot for doing what he's doing. I imagine he is running bad, and he may be behind, but he probably has an idea of what he's doing. And I also think he's a stand-up character and a model citizen for our game. So, listen, banter is banter. That's fine. I think you got to keep a line in the sand of where you start to accost someone's character, which I think is close to here. But at the end of the day, I think Phil Galvan's a legend. I think what he's doing is great. I wish him nothing but success. And I am scared of Luke Schwartz, but I also find him very entertaining. Let's get into some of the live poker results from this past week. Farid Jatin wins Million South America High Roller for $200,000. The Colombian beat Brazil's Rodrigo Sergi heads up in Uruguay. He is fresh off the back of two six-figure scores in Australia, which included a chopped finish in the Aussie Millions 25K Challenge for $680,000. Pablo Silva of Brazil is the Million South America main event champion. He banked a cool $1 million for the victory. Silva beat fellow countryman Fabio Colonis heads up to take the title and at Enjoy Casino in Punta del Este. The festival, which wrapped up this past Sunday, was the closing leg of the previous Million season Party Poker Live's flagship tour. The tour heads to Sochi next month for the Super High Roller Series. And lastly, before we jump into the interview here, let's talk about some of the news coming out of Party Poker this week. So we've made improvements to the cash game leaderboards. First of all, prize money is boosted to $150,000 every week. Top prize on the leaderboard has doubled to $5,000. Promotions also now paying up to $30,000 in cash prizes for leaderboards each week. Diamond Club players also get to compete for their share of the overall $150,000 prize pool and no longer have their own separate promotion. So those are together once and again. That's the details on cash game leaderboards. WPT has added passports for selected events. So the scheme launched following a similar rollout from Party Poker Live Millions events. The flexible satellite package can be won online at Party Poker and allows the holder to enter WPT min events listed on Party Poker Live website. The holders receive $5,000 worth of value for buy-in and expenses. Players using their passport in the debut event at WPT Barcelona can receive a bonus $1,000 in value. I love the passport idea. I think it's great. So really happy to see WPT jump on there and add that in the satellites. The KO series has wrapped up on Party Poker. I had a bad Sunday, man. I lost about 6,000 on Sunday. That's my worst online Sunday, I think, ever. But I had a ton of fun. I had some big chances. I just love KO series. It's fun. I can't wait for the next one. Player Ferron was one of the series' biggest winners, collecting over $110,000 in prize money. So congrats to Ferron. The player capped his series with a win on the final day in the $500K guaranteed super high roller for over $50,000. The festival is Party Poker's first major series of the year, guaranteeing over $10 million. Renato Nomura became Team Party Poker's first champion in the series after he took down the 20K guaranteed 6max PLO for $7,858. I think I got a third and a fourth or something like that. I was close, man. I was really close, but didn't quite make it. That's going to be it for the news before the interview, so we can jump right into it now. Courtney Gee, one of my colleagues, Party Poker TeamOnline. She's just a fantastic ambassador for the game of poker. She's got such a great community, and it's really a joy to watch her stream and watch her sort of explain poker to the people that follow her channel. So really excited to speak with her and have a great conversation. Without further ado, Courtney Gee. Joining me on the podcast today, I have fellow TeamOnline member at Party Poker, Courtney Gee. Courtney, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hey, Jaime. Thanks for having me. Really looking forward to talking.
So a lot of things I want to bring up today. Obviously, we both stream on Twitch. We've been in the Twitch space for a long time. We're both sponsored by Party Poker, and we've been poker players for a long time. But let's go to the poker origin stories. So I want to hear, how did you find poker and get into the game originally?
I feel like I've been playing poker forever. Actually, because I look younger than I actually am, people will come into the stream, they'll say, oh yeah, how long have you played poker for? And I'll tell them that I played poker for 15 years. And they'll say, so you've been playing since you were 10 years old? like, people get super confused about that. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm a little bit older than I would like to be. I learned how to play poker when I was going to school. I did a university degree at the University of British Columbia. I did a science degree. And while I was going to school, I met some people and we played home games. And it was super addicting. It was so fun. We stayed up till 7 a.m, gambling for 10 cents at a time. It was good times.
So when you were in school, did you catch the bug in a big way to where you were like, wow, I really want to do this? Or were you kind of still focused on your schooling all the way through?
I was always too afraid to quit school. Even though I really was not super interested in what I was doing by the time I was done my second year, I really didn't want to finish without the degree.
Yeah.
So I kept going, but it was really hard because I loved it so much. And I remember when I first got into online poker, because we weren't playing enough home games, obviously, for me to satisfy my newfound addiction. So yes. I went online and I looked for online games, and I got some of my friends into the online games too. And they would message me and be like, yeah, I'm sitting in class right now with my laptop playing poker. I don't even know why I'm here. I should just go home and play, I think it was playing cash games or whatever. And it was so addicting and tempting to not pay attention to school. So I did finish my degree, but I didn't want to be doing it.
Yeah. I have the same story, except I didn't finish, but it took me a long time to build up enough courage to actually go for it, because it's so scary when you're in that spot and you're on a path in life and it's the path you're supposed to take, and then there's this curveball that half the population has no idea what it even is. It's a terrifying idea to just close up shop and follow your passion,
I sometimes have regrets about not just doing it, though, because, those were the good old days. Those were the days where you can sit there and make money doing nothing. It was so easy to build a bankroll back then. And I almost feel bad when people these days tell me what's the best way to build a bankroll, or how did you build your bankroll? And I was like, well, I didn't really do anything. I just played poker. Yeah. I looked up a little bit of strategy, and it was so easy relative to now.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes me wonder what maybe I'd be doing now if I just stopped doing my degree, because I obviously am not using my degree at this exact moment in time.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think honestly I have a spin on it where I think it's good the way that we've gotten to, because back then I had a similar story. You kind of just show up and play as many tables as you could manage, and you just ended up with more money at the end of the day. You didn't really need to know what you were doing. And it was just all right, I guess this is a thing.
everyone was horrible. It's just how horrible were you, and were you less horrible than the horrible? You know, it's
Yeah.
just
And you could just put
I
in time to get better. That's all you needed to do to like compete,
yeah
was just like grind a little bit. And it's like, oh, okay, I've kind of figured some of this out. Like, good.
yeah
I know what a
for sure.
pot odd is,
Yeah.
the real
For
of four
sure,
and
for
two.
sure.
Like, yeah, I got
Those
it.
were the good old days. So damn,
But
I shouldn't. School's bad.
but it's not sustainable, right? Like I think it's okay because then you're going to get a bunch of people that get into it with false pretenses of like just money, right? It's like if there's no passion for the game, they're there for an easy living. It creates a bit of a shell of a culture, I think, of people that are just opportunists. So I think I'm trying to find a positive spin on the way that poker's gotten harder, and that's how I've settled on it, Courtney, that we have real poker purists that are going to survive in today's day and age.
Well, I do agree with you because I get that question a lot in my stream. It's what's the best way to make money? Or how can I go semi-pro? Or how can I
Mm.
go pro? You know, those are the questions. And I think those are just the wrong questions. People ask, what is the best game for me to make the most money? And
Yes.
that's not the question. The question is, do you like poker? Do you love the game? Are you happy sitting there and playing games day after day after day? It's you have to love it to play it, and you have to love it to make money eventually. But you're not going to get online and just all of a sudden, you know, become the next Tonka or Pav. You're going to have to work at it, and the only way you'll work at it is if you love playing.
Yeah.
So I always just say play what you enjoy. You're not going to build a bankroll if you don't want to play poker.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. I 100% agree with you. It's a little bit frustrating too, I find, because we still market poker in a way sometimes around that dream of like the quick hit of money, and I know it's effective, and that's like I can't really blame any site for promoting their guarantees. Like it works, people want it, but it's also not exactly showcasing the reality of like, hey, poker's actually fun to just play as a game. You don't have to even get rich to just enjoy this. Like it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But like you said, I also understand that people, their dream is to make that huge first place prize, and that
Mm.
is part of what makes it fun. So I do think that we still need to have big first place prizes, and prestige for some people is what motivates them. And I think it's totally cool to play poker with that dream in mind. But to play games that you just don't like at all for the purpose of making money, and you're sitting there not enjoying your journey as a poker player, i
Yeah.
i just don't know why you'd want to do that. There's a lot of ways to make money in this world. Go do one of those other things
Yeah.
instead of 1 cent, 2 cent, or like your $1 sit and goes.
Absolutely. And easier ways, by the way, too. A lot easier
Yes,
ways. Just like go figure
for
out how
sure.
to get skins on CS:GO or something, and like there's a whole game out there. I'm sure you can figure it out.
I don't know anything about that game. I'll take your word for it that
Yeah.
it's easier.
So, what was your driving motivation when you first found it? Was it like the financial success, or what was the dream for you in poker when you first started?
um I just really like games. I've always loved games. So I think I was just really enamored with the strategy and the competitiveness. And yeah, money was really cool. And just getting better and making more money, I guess. But money is, I guess, at the start, kind of just an indicator that you're good or that you're winning or whatever. So for me, it was obviously cool to me making the money, but it was almost like, oh wow, this is awesome. I'm getting better. I'm building a
Mm.
bankroll. Like all of a sudden, the first $1,000 takes the longest to make when you're a new poker player, but how good does it feel?
Yeah.
It is just the most amazing feeling. It's I made this $1,000. I didn't deposit very much, and I made all this. Say it was a $900 profit. I made this $900 playing a game.
Yeah.
It's like, really? You can do that? You can make literal thousands of dollars playing a game? I thought it was so amazing.
Yeah.
So that's what got me really, really into it.
Yeah. I can feel that coursing through my body right now. Like I remember
Yeah,
the feeling. It's
it's the
good.
best. I mean, I think there's nothing better than your first 1,000, your first 5,000, your first MTT win, your first, all those milestones. I don't want to say that I've never felt as good again playing poker, but I mean those feelings. I mean, they're just so incredible.
Hmm.
I was I like honestly miss them a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. Well, that leads into my next question because I feel like you've played a lot of genres in poker. Like when I first came to know you, well, I knew you from a televised cash game. We'll get there.
Oh,
But then,
yeah.
but then I think of sit and goes, and then I think of spins, and maybe there was a cash game in there, and then some tournaments. So I feel like you've played a lot of genres. Um, do you miss any of those? Like describe those different periods of life and sort of the differences of these games that you've played over your career.
It's actually funny thinking back to all the different games that I played because so many of the really amazing, sick players today used to play all those games. For example, Ben CB, I remember him playing six max cash games.
Mm,
Sorry, not cash games, Stingos, because I used to play those. And I remember thinking not very much of him and being, oh, okay, whatever. He's just a reg. I didn't really think, oh, he's the sickest. Oh, he's so good. And then now you see him and he's terrorizing everyone in MTTs.
yeah.
So it's really weird to go to think back to my experience in all these other games because I played with so many. Same with Tonka. I mean, he was playing. I never really got into six max hypers, but you'd occasionally see him in other sit and goes as well. People who play sit and goes, they go and play a lot of other different games or different, I guess, speeds of sit and goes when they need action.
Hmm.
And I never thought that he was going to become this big, amazing, high stake crusher and Twitch god. Like
Hmm.
it's so interesting to think about how far people have come and just how things have changed for them.
Yeah.
I probably had the most fun playing for a living at Hyper Heads Up sit and goes when I used to play those. The problem is those turned really predatory and really, really political at the end, and they
Really.
were not fun at the end. But
Mm.
at the start, they were really fun.
Political. That's
Um,
interesting. So you had to know people to be able to compete in the games, or?
yeah, what ended up happening was people. So the lobby systems usually are you sit in a lobby and you wait for someone to come play you, and people didn't want bad regs, quote unquote bad regs, to be able to sit the lobbies and get the so-called fish.
Mm.
And so what started happening was groups were formed to gang up on these people who were sitting in the lobbies that they didn't think were worthy of sitting in the lobbies. And these people who were being ganged up on had to play regs all day long. And
Right.
that's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're playing regs and not recreational players, there's a lot of variance and it can be hard to make your living.
Yeah.
So that's what ended up happening.
Like
And
obviously
you're
that's
talking to someone who is, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's okay. I mean, I was just gonna say like it in the poker community. Obviously, that's just really toxic for the average poker player that just wants to play a game. Like it's a
Yeah.
super toxic environment. But to step out and view it from like just an economics or like a game point of view, it's so interesting how like groups form to attack like weaker players to like force them out. Like it's this whole weird economic organism basically like eating itself. Like it's really
Yeah,
weird.
it's like being out in the wild. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous. I mean, I was in one of the groups. I
Mm.
was in the 200 Hyper Heads Up group, and it became it got to a point where you had to start submitting EV graphs to people to prove that you're good enough to stay in this group, and you had to start playing a certain number of games in order to play enough. And people are like, oh, you don't play enough games, I don't think you should be in this group, you're not playing enough poker in a month. And it's like, are you serious? Why am I still doing this? So
Right.
that's why I ended up leaving, because I didn't want to be part of that anymore.
Feels a little Lord of the Flies. I don't know. It's a
Oh,
bit
it's
much.
insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was still playing them when I started streaming on Twitch.
Hmm.
But once I started streaming more and realized that I really enjoy streaming, I quit Hyper Heads Up completely because I just didn't want to be part of that.
Right. So that was number one. It seems like in like most fun. Where were spins in your progression? Did you enjoy the
Oh,
spins?
last. Horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I would say I think my biggest problem was I overestimated my ability and I jumped in way too fast. So I was trying to play spins on stream. The reason why I started with spins is because I was originally trying to play hypers, heads ups, but it was just too much downtime waiting for games because you have to sit in lobbies and wait for people to play you.
Mm,
So I started playing spins on the side so that there was something to stream and not just sit there not playing poker. And I really overestimated my ability to know what to do in situations three-handed.
mm,
I didn't realize how much of a difference there is three-handed compared to heads up. So obviously I was happy once I got heads up in spins, but three-handed was tough for me. So I would say that I shouldn't have played the stakes that I played. I shouldn't have played hundreds. 60s were fun. Hundreds, I was not winning at those. 60s,
mm,
and probably 60s, my win rate wasn't that great either.
mm. And
Yeah.
now tournaments. We all end up
Yeah.
as tournament donks at the end of the day. So how do you feel about the tournaments?
I played tournaments actually. That was the main game I was playing when I first quit my job to play poker for a living. I was playing tournaments, and I had really, really, really crazy downswings in those big fields back in the day because this is
Yeah.
back when Double Deuce was paying $30,000 or something like that.
Yeah, that was
It
the old
was
full tilt double deuce. That was a
yeah,
classic. Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
So fields were huge, and the variance was just crazy. So then a friend said, "Oh, you should play sit and goes," and that's why I changed to sit and goes in the first place.
Mm.
So I kind of feel like it's come full circle. This is where it all began, and now I'm back at MTTs. And it's so weird that I'm playing MTTs again. But it's fun. I enjoy it. I would say that if I were to do it over again, though, I would not try to learn MTTs on stream because that is actually what I ended up doing. So I went from hyper heads up to spins to just full out MTTs. There's quite a big difference between hyper heads up and MTT ranges.
Right.
And I did not take enough time to learn the ranges before I started streaming. In fact, I took no time. I just said, well, let's just stream some MTTs and let's see how it goes, And that was not smart because obviously I had endless leaks and people would come in constantly into the stream and go, "You suck, you're horrible, like what are you doing? This is an obvious call or that's an obvious fold. What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
So it wasn't the smartest way to do it, to transition, I should say.
Right.
This was back then when there wasn't any masterclasses though. So all the masterclasses and I guess coaching packages that you can buy today for MTTs did not exist.
Yeah. Well, I remember back in the day, it was Deuces Cracked, Card Runners, and I mean, it was consistent content, and maybe one MTT video a week would come out on those sites.
Yeah.
And they would look at a specific spot. But like today, the boom of like big poker courses, like poker is the perfect industry for a course. It's a lot of money involved. Like a small change means a big profit. And the whole player pool is used to dealing with money every day. It's like perfect, but it's pretty crazy how the industry has blossomed. All the options.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if I went looking for, courses on MTTs. Just to my knowledge, the limited research that I did, there wasn't anything. So I did talk to a coach and try to get some preliminary coaching before I played MTTs, and it just was not nearly, it didn't help me as much as I thought it would, and it wasn't, the value is horrible when you compare it to the MTT courses there are today. The MTT courses today are insane.
Yeah, because they're holistic.
Exactly what I needed.
Yeah,
so.
They're everything. They're pre-flop, they're flop, turn, river, ranges, ICM,
Yeah.
satellite, like they're just everything. They're the whole game.
Yeah.
And then it's just on you to like remember it all, isn't it? It's really
Yeah.
it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to
For
switch
sure.
gears here because I remember watching you on TV in my living room, and I didn't know you were Courtney, like courtiebee on Twitch at the time. I just knew you were on this game. I'm talking about your appearance on the big game, which was a big cash game in Canada, and I think it aired in most spots in the world. So just to summarize this game, you got $100,000 as an amateur at the time you came in the show. Any money over the 100,000, you got to keep your profit, and anything under, you went home with zero. Was the premise, right? 6-max cash game, and you had Daniel Negreanu, Bryn Kenny, Nananoko, Phil Locke, and Rick Solomon as your lineup. That is a legendary lineup. Incredible. Like, what a sick six that is. So please tell me, what was your experience like playing the big game?
Well, first of all, can we just say that's the most rigged lineup ever? Yeah. I mean, look at the people on this table. You've got the guys who I think Bryn Kenny has won the most money, period, playing tournament poker.
Yeah. Daniel Negreanu third.
Daniel Negreanu second?
He's second, third, fourth. I don't know. It's Fedor, Bonomo, Kenny, and him.
Yeah, and then the so-called not pro, who is Rick Solomon, he's, I think, top 100. And
he's probably won the most in the world, but it's just not publicized.
How did I draw that table?
I don't know.
It was a lot of fun. It was super intimidating. I was insanely nervous. I was a tournament poker player. I sat there and knitted it up. You know, everyone calls me Knitbee. You should have seen me back then. Oh, wait, you did see me on the big game. Right. Yeah. And I didn't know how to play cash games.
Right.
This is a deep stack cash game. And I'm a tournament poker player who was like just happy to jam it in for 20 big blinds pre-flop.
Yeah.
So it was really, really intimidating. And I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I did try to get some help before the game, and people did try to help me, cash game players that I knew. But I only had about a month's notice between when I found out I was going to be on the game and when I actually had to fly to Vegas.
Right.
So there's only so much you can do in a month.
It's a funny story. I think Kevin was in the cutting room floor for that game. I remember talking with him, our former colleague Kevin Martin, who is sort of definitely retired from streaming, sort of retired from poker. He sent in an application, and I remember him telling me about it. Like, he got out all these graphs, and he was like talking about like his win rate at $2 NL and stuff. And like they just cut him at the end, but he almost got in there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's true.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was that one. It might have been the Shark Cage, but I think it was that one. So
that is so funny.
So how many hours of the day does it take to film, 100 cash game hands?
I'm not exactly how long it took from start to finish. But all day. It's an all-day production for sure. People ask all the time whether it was just all filmed in one day and then cut into 5 pieces for the Monday through Friday, and yeah, it is all filmed in one day. Otherwise, that would be really funny if everyone wore the same shirt every day. They're like, okay, make sure you remember to wear that same shirt tomorrow. So no, it's
come
all
play 20 hands.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not exactly sure how long.
Yeah.
Right. We do have to stop in the middle of some hands and wait for the producer to tell us when we can keep going. So if there's something special that they want to do in the middle of a hand, you have to stop, and there's waiting around a little bit for that kind of thing. So that definitely makes it slower.
So I was watching a little bit before we did this interview as I was having dinner, and I saw the all-in queens versus tens against Solomon. He spikes a 10. I thought it was really interesting how he decided to run it 3 times on the turn, right, to give you like additional chances. We know as poker pros, like the EV doesn't change there, but the commentators was like, oh, what a nice guy, like a generous offer from Rick Solomon to run it 3 times. Like he came out as the hero, and he just spikes the set against you. So do you still think about the game and like any regrets in regards to the whole experience, or How do you feel about it now?
So this is gonna sound so stupid. My biggest regret is not sitting there with my arms on the rail instead of my hands in my lap. That is because so many people said afterwards, Courtney, you sat there and looked so stupid. Why didn't you put your hands on the rail like a normal human? And my answer is that I didn't want everyone to see my hand shaking because I was so nervous. I didn't want them to know that I was so nervous. But I didn't know that it would look really weird sitting up straight with my hands down on my lap and then you not being able to see them. So
Right.
that's my biggest regret. Not folding fives under the gun like all of you guys like to berate me about. Yes, I wish I'd raised that, but come on. It was first hand. I was nervous, okay? Give me a break.
I think it's a great answer. I think it's good.
As for thinking about it though,
Mm-hmm.
I actually didn't think about it before I started streaming. People bring it up all the time now because it gets played on the Run It Up channel and it's on YouTube. But I never thought about it for years and years and years. It happened 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, happened 9 years ago now. And I didn't think about it because I didn't win any money. I thought, well, that's it. I gave it my shot. I guess I'm going to remain a nobody in poker. Oh, well, time to go grind some MTTs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's actually pretty interesting now. I feel like more people are watching it now than they did back then and coming into my stream and saying, oh, you're from the big game, or were you that girl in the big game? So I hear way more about it now than I did back then.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, so I wanna get into just your life outside poker a little bit too, just to get to know
life outside poker.
Life outside poker, it's a thing, right?
Oh, okay. So like if when I leave the house, I don't do that.
First question: do you leave the house? Yeah, no. You're living in Vancouver, so I wanted to know, how long have you been in Vancouver?
So I actually live outside of Vancouver because I am not rich enough from my, party sponsorship and MTTs to live in Vancouver.
Right.
I have a shack, outside Vancouver. It's an amazing place to live. I've been living here my entire life. I was born here. So I don't actually have experience living anywhere else. But I would say that it is an amazing place if you don't mind rain, but you're looking for a place that doesn't have very much snow.
Right. Right.
I feel like that's so cliche though, talking about the weather. I can't help it. It's just the best part about Vancouver is the weather and how clean it is here.
That's a really big deal in Canada. The weather, I think about it back home. 5 months of snow in most of the country. Ugh, it's just
terrible.
Painful.
Wait, you come from close to Calgary?
Yeah, south of Calgary. So
don't you guys get snow in like October?
Yeah, we get snow like October, late October, and then it kind of melts in like early April.
Oh,
yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah,
no,
it's not
never
ideal.
living there.
I don't know why we decide to do it to ourselves, but that's okay. Canada is a great country. So,
it is.
If you're taking an outing, you're leaving the house, no streams, no poker. What are you doing in Vancouver? Like, what's an off day for Courtney?
Vancouver is, I feel like, so far to drive. Well, it takes me about half an hour to get to Vancouver. To get downtown, it takes me maybe 45 minutes. And I would say if I wanted to go hang out in Vancouver, I would really like to go to Stanley Park on a nice day. It's really nice there. Take a bike ride is really nice. That's something I've been meaning to do, actually, the last couple of years is spend a day on a bike and just ride around. For some reason, living here, you just never end up doing it. You always think to yourself, oh, that's such a good idea. And you don't do it. But there's a lot of good food in Vancouver, too, so it's just fun to do something like that and spend the entire day and walk around and eat a lot of food.
It's probably my bad.
Is amazing.
What was that, sorry?
Oh, I said Japa Dog is amazing.
Japa Dog.
Anytime someone says they're coming to Vancouver, I make them promise me they're going to get a Japa Dog.
Okay. And what's the premise of the restaurant?
It started out as a food truck, I think. Just a little cart. And it's hot dogs that have a Japanese theme.
It's perfect. How could it go wrong?
I know. Amazing. So make sure you get one, Jamie.
Okay. Japa Dog when I'm in Vancouver area. I'm probably a huge fish because I am not from there. So I just kind of group like Richmond and Burnaby and Vancouver and like just the whole metropolitan area together. I'm just like, yeah, that's all Vancouver, and you might have to drive to get into the middle. So I apologize to anyone from that part of the
Oh no, it's just funny how it's such a production to go to Vancouver, even though I live only 45 minutes away from downtown. It's really sad if you think about it, but it's a lot because of the traffic. We don't have as bad traffic as some places in the States, but it is pretty annoying to be driving around at rush hour time. So you go to Vancouver, you kind of got to make it a really quick trip and not do very much, or you got to go there all day if you live in the suburbs. Unless you like sitting in traffic, which I hate.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, there seems to be a quite big poker community in Vancouver. It seems like most of the relocations from the US of poker pros either went to Vancouver or Mexico, and then a few went to Toronto as well. But it seems like the hotspot for that. So are you connected with a professional poker community there, or do you kind of just like do your own thing on Twitch?
I am not connected as much as I would like to be, I would say. I feel like not living in Vancouver, it's just hard to say, oh, let's meet up for, a quick snack, or let's hang out really quickly afterwards, just after you're done your grind. It's just not, it doesn't really happen as much as I would have liked. So I don't connect to my friends as much, including the poker friends. It's something that I should make more of an effort to do. I have considered moving to Vancouver to make it easier to, have these relationships with people who live in Vancouver, but I just can't pull the trigger because of the money.
Yeah.
It's just so much more money. So it's one of those things where I'm not really as much part of the scene as I would like. For that reason, I don't really go play live ever. So I don't know any of the live players as well, and not really part of any home game scene either. So it's one of those things that I feel like I've missed out on a little bit because I don't live in Vancouver.
Right.
So maybe that's something that if I could go back in time, I would have changed that. And I obviously could still change it. I will say that my experience with the live poker scene in Vancouver is not a great one. I have not been impressed with how it's been in the last decade. But that being said, I haven't really tried it in the last 5 years, so maybe it's gotten better. People have said that there are some cash games at some of the newer casinos that have come up, so maybe I should go give them a try.
Yeah, I had the same impression, but the last time I tried was like 7 years ago, maybe, when I was there before
it was
streaming.
Really bad.
Yeah, like you'd find 2 5 games that were really reggy. And, you're talking like a metropolitan area of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 million people, like a lot of poker players. And it was just kind of dead. Like there wasn't a live poker culture. I don't know. Maybe it's the traffic, but LA does it. It can't be the traffic. LA's got it down.
I know. It's so weird to me. I don't get it. The last time I went to a card room was at the River Rock. I mean, their poker is just terrible. But I went there just to see what was up. And I said, so do you have any 2-5 right now? And she's like, no, there's a waiting list though. And I was like, okay. And she said, it won't run. Don't bother. And I was like, okay. Thanks. I won't come back. It's just terrible. But I hear there's some games down at Park and in Grand Villa. I just haven't had a chance to go.
Yeah, well, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of reason, but hopefully it upswings. I mean, compared to the other side of the country and Playground Poker in Montreal, like so many people love that place and excited about it. So
it's night and day. It's so crazy. It's not fair. Playground's amazing.
It's yeah, I agree. So I want to talk about Twitch a little bit because you're a veteran of Twitch. You've been around Twitch for a long time. How long exactly? Like, when did you start your channel on Twitch?
It will be my 5-year anniversary in June.
Yeah, so very early days, right? Like the start. So I wanted to pick your brain. Like, how have you seen Twitch change over the last 5 years since you got started?
There's so many more streamers now. It's crazy. Your options for watching a poker stream were really limited when I first started streaming. And now you've got so much choice. you can have any kind of community you want, which I think is super, super cool. You don't have to watch just the biggest stream. You don't have to watch a stream that's completely dead. You can find stuff in the middle. You can find streams for any of the sites that you're playing and build, like, make friends in a community of people who play that site. I just think it's really, it's fun to see how big it's grown and how many different people stream.
Yeah, I agree with that change. It's, I mean, do you remember any of the names when we were streaming back then? Like, because the names come and go, and it sort of changes, and both me and you have like been through it. Who were the big people back then? Obviously, Jason Somerville was up there.
I remember when I first started streaming, I was streaming in the late afternoon where I live. And I would always be really sad when Adrian Phoenix came online.
Yes.
Cash Game Island.
That's a classic, yeah.
Oh man, that guy has such good hair. I don't know if you remember. He had the most amazing hair. It's apparently the only thing I remember about his stream. But he was always really good energy and a really good streamer and got a lot of viewers. So my viewership always dropped when he came online.
Yeah, I remember the Cash Game Island.
Yeah.
Joey Ingram was on there a little bit. I remember... Do you remember like Air Draken? He was on there early days. Man, there's a lot of people back then. It's crazy how far it's come. So you're sitting in front of the swarm, which I can see in the background, which is like what you call your subscribers, right? If they subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
I'm on there as well. I'm part of the swarm. I think like 50 months or something. So you've been able to create such like a nice group of people that like every time I come into your channel, I'm just so taken by like how kind and like supportive and interconnected your community is. I think it's such a great thing. So how have you done that? And just like, just give some advice to the streamers out there. Like, how have you been able to create that community?
Well, the first thing I'll say is I could never do it without the regulars in my community. They're amazing. I have incredible mods. So thank you to all of my mods. A lot of my mods have been modding for me for years, and some of them don't even watch poker anymore, but they still come hang out in the stream, and they're part of the community. So thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. I would say that the biggest thing is that I pay a lot of attention to the chat, almost too much attention. So I would say that's the biggest thing is I really hate missing anything in the chat. So as a consequence, I really know what's going on. And it's allowed me to really get to know my viewers really well just over time because I see everything they say. And I think that's part of what gets people coming back initially, people who like that kind of attention and community feel. And then those people who like the community feel, they keep coming back and then they get to know each other as well. And I think eventually just people started actually caring about each other and being friends. So I think that's the biggest thing is the fact that I care about what's going on in people's lives, and they all started caring about what was going on in each other's lives. And that's, I think, how it got started.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's really remarkable because I think it's super hard to do today in the internet, like action, like things popping in our face, like it's just go, 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 go. So to actually have people want to like slow down and chill and hang with some people, like it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. So I really admire how you've done that. And I try and learn from you as well in my own community to create those connections between people. So yeah,
it's my favorite part about streaming. That's why I still stream, because of that connection and just having the community. It's one of my, I would say that those are my favorite memories of my stream. And when I think about when I first started and now, and just how people are actually friends, and you know, there's people who met in my stream who actually play games with each other outside the stream. They talk to each other, and they've actually become good friends. They mail each other presents for their birthdays.
Right.
You know, just to see that came from my stream, it's one of the best feelings. I love it. It's one of my favorite things about being a streamer. So it's one of the reasons I keep doing it and why I love it so much.
That's really good. So Twitch Poker, as a whole, do you have any thoughts about where we are now and, I don't know, just like projecting into the future? What do you think is important for us as an industry to continue to get the game out there to people and like make it fun and interesting and exciting for people to play?
I think we need to tell more people that we exist. First off, I feel like there's, so many people out there who play poker, but they don't know what Twitch is. And so often I will talk to someone about what I do. They'll ask me what I do, and they don't know what Twitch is either. They don't even know that they can play online. You can play online. You can play poker at your computer. They know what poker is. They know you can go to a casino and play poker, but they didn't realize you could, play real games. So talking to people and telling them that we exist, I think would be awesome. You go to a live event, tell as many people as you can. I'm a streamer. I stream. Come watch me. Come become part of the community. Come play home games, Just start playing online and realize that it's awesome. It's better than live, honestly. I think it's better than live. So I think getting the word out there that Twitch poker exists is, I think, really cool.
Yeah, it almost seems like in poker there was a culture for a long time, and it still exists to some extent, where people were embarrassed to be poker players. Like even professionals. Yeah. Like I remember the old 2+2 threads of people mocking the guy that showed up in the hoodie, the full tilt hoodie, and making fun of that guy, basically like, oh, like as if like, oh, you care about a site, what a loser, like was the premise. And that was like very prominent in poker. And I find it just so weak. Like we're so vulnerable and insecure to have to like poke fun at people that actually care about our game. Imagine that in a sport, like someone caring about a team and being the butt of the joke by people that play that game for a living. It's absurd, right?
Yeah, that would never happen.
Something
ever.
Needs to be better than that. I think I agree. I think there needs to be a culture shift there to where we're proud of what we do.
Yeah, and I think that, not being afraid to talk about it, not feeling, I don't know, bashful or embarrassed by it, for sure, because I have gone through a lot of that over the years that I played poker. What do you do? And it's like I almost don't want people to ask me that question, but why? That is so dumb. Why would I not be excited to tell people what I do?
Right.
And be excited about telling them to watch my stream even, but I'm not, for some reason. I don't go out there and say, hey, you should watch my stream. I almost just don't want to talk about it. It's also because I swear a lot in my stream. So sometimes when people are like, they're like, oh, can I watch you sometime? I'll say, yeah, but if you're offended by the F word, maybe don't. So that's one of the problem. Or like my mom wanted to watch my stream sometime. I was like, Mom, don't watch my stream, Mom. I'm sorry. So maybe I should fix that. But when I tell people what I do for a living, I'm not as excited as I would be if I were a lawyer, for example, like people who are really proud of what they've accomplished. So I feel like even from my point of view, I need to change my attitude about it.
Yeah. I get like where I think it comes from, that some of the world doesn't understand. Like, I don't know if you have an interesting story where you told someone what you do. For me, it always seems to happen at banks. Like, do you have a horror story of a reaction? What's your best reaction to I play poker?
I haven't and I was offended because recently I was talking to someone about playing poker for a living, and I said the game has changed a lot, and people who, they had degrees, they were playing poker for a living back then, they just don't want to play it anymore because for whatever reason they want to go back and get a regular job, and they're finding a hard time, getting work because they don't have the experience. And the guy said to me, well, I said they're trying to get a job using their degree that they have.
Right.
And this guy said to me, he's like, yeah, well, they're obviously not doing it because if they'd been able to do it back then, like they would have, right? So that's why they
Right.
played poker. And I was like, no, they're not playing poker because they couldn't get a job before. They're playing poker because they wanted to. And now they're trying to get a job. Like, what are you saying? Like, he was just like, yeah, you're the school cast off. You couldn't get a job, so you just played some gambling game and got lucky and
That's the
made
worst
money
plan
that
ever if you
way.
can't get a job. Just by the way, by the way
Sorry?
to that guy, that's the worst plan ever if you can't get a job to start,
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to
no,
turn
for
pro
sure.
is not the way. Yeah, that's a classic. I always go into the bank, and they tend to give me like speeches to be careful and watch yourself.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I've
get
never
the
had anyone say that to me
patronizing.
before.
Yeah. I remember wiring some money to Vegas for the main event. So I sent 10K the year I went to play the main event. And I got the story about my daughter's, boyfriend's uncle was addicted to sports betting. So just be careful. I was like, yep. Gotcha. That's,
Did you say thank you?
yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's just, so I get that part. I guess I understand a little bit why people keep it in the community some, but it's frustrating nonetheless. Um,
For sure. I think it's just sometimes you don't feel like answering a million questions too.
yeah,
And so when someone asks you what you do, I mean, I have made it up before just because I didn't want to talk about it. But when I don't want to answer too many questions, I'll just say, "Oh yeah, I play poker
mm,
online."
yeah.
They always go, "Oh, you must be so good," and I'm like, I
Are
I'm
you really good at
okay."
reading people? Yeah, yeah. Um, so I wanted to ask as well about some current events. Uh, YouTube situation going on with poker. I know that you have had two videos taken down or striked at some point in the last couple months. So something I'm trying to spearhead and make a difference on. But like, I don't know. What do you think about poker on YouTube? Like, are we gonna be okay? Is it gonna be fixed? Like, is there any point in trying? I
Oh,
don't know.
we have to try, but I just wish that they would make up their minds. Is it allowed or is it not allowed? And
Mm,
just be clear about it. It's really frustrating trying to build a channel and then stuff gets taken down. And the strikes, you go a week or 2 weeks without being able to upload.
yeah.
It's so, so frustrating. So I hope that we can get it resolved. It would just be nice to not worry about it anymore.
Yeah, that's the worst part about it. And I know because my brother does some editing for our team and for you as well specifically. It's just like you're really in the dark as to like what even the problem was. Like it's not
Yeah.
always that you actually broke a rule. It can just be randomly some bot thought that that was not okay. So it's
Yeah, well, really makes me glad for now that I'm streaming on Twitch and not YouTube.
mm,
Imagine if YouTube were your entire livelihood
yeah,
and stuff's getting taken down randomly and you don't know whether you're going to be able to make a living anymore.
mm,
I can't imagine what it must be like for some of the other content creators out there who are going through that. So
yeah,
I just really hope they get it. It just has to be clear and we have to know what we're doing wrong so we don't do it anymore.
right, yeah,
If there is
yeah.
anything, I don't know.
Yeah. And we're not all like breaking the rules on purpose. I think that was originally when these problems started happening. I think people were like, "Oh, well, you probably just did something you weren't allowed to do." But now that there's like 50 people, they're like, "Okay."
Yeah. Yeah.
like something's broken. All right, that makes sense.
Since there's so many of us, hopefully it will be something that will get resolved
Mm.
and going forward we'll be able to upload without worries because
Yeah,
it's a really good way to get the word out there about the game.
absolutely. Yeah, the biggest video platform on the internet. So, poker's got to be a part of that.
Yeah.
If people are going to find out about the game like we just talked about, it probably needs to be on YouTube. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. For sure. I'm just so glad that they haven't banned it
mm.
because you're not able to stream on Mixer apparently if you're a poker player.
Right.
That's what I heard. I haven't looked into it or anything, but that is so disappointing.
Yeah, it seems like poker unfortunately is just on the fringe of whether it's okay or not okay with most of these companies, but I think it's a really good like lesson point to not be too dependent on one platform. Like even if Twitch disappears tomorrow, it's like scary for a lot of people. You
Yeah,
know? Like it's
for
really
sure.
terrifying. So having other platforms where you can create and your audience can see you is a worthwhile investment, I think. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I agree. And I think that's just in life. Putting all your eggs in one basket, it's always a little bit scary. So
Mm,
anytime you're ever able to diversify or have additional sources of income is a good thing.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so I'm gonna end on sort of like a just a broad question in regards to your poker career and your streaming and stuff, just so people can get a sense if they decide to come check out your stream and tune in. What things are you working towards in terms of poker or your stream? Like, what is the Courtney Gee projection or story going forward?
Well, last year was a really big year in terms of getting better at poker. I really made a decision to spend more time studying. I would say that the first 3 years that I played poker on Twitch, my focus was on my stream, and I didn't really care as much as I should have about the poker. But it's
Mm,
also I was running a lot better back then and,
right.
winning anyway. So who cares? Why do I need to study if I'm not winning, right? Or if I am winning, right?
Yeah.
But last year I improved my game a lot, which is really exciting, and I think that this year I will do more of the same. So I'm really looking forward to getting my ROI up a lot, and just more deep runs and more final tables and stuff like that. So I'll probably be staying at about the same stakes that I'm at now, maybe adding a few more, shots here and there.
Mm,
But my main goal is to increase the ROI.
great. That's awesome.
Yeah. I
Well,
also was thinking about doing some IRL streams in the future as well. So I'm kind of
oh, cool.
brainstorming and trying to think of how I can stream for fun outside of poker down the road. So
Right.
if anyone has any suggestions of stupid things that you want me to do, let me
Please
know.
take us to Vancouver. Please take me on a
Yeah.
road trip to Vancouver. I'd love to see it.
I would love to do stuff like that. I just don't know how it would work for data and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, it's
I've heard
really
about
bad in
streaming
Canada.
backpacks. I got told about that, so I just need to look into stuff like that. But I think it would be really fun, and I'm really looking forward to in the future streaming some other things besides poker. So I can't imagine not streaming. So I think Storm's going to be a thing for a while.
Great. That's really good. Courtney, thanks for taking the time today. I really recommend everyone tuning into the podcast. Check her out on Twitch and just see what it's her community is great. Like see what it's like to hang out there, watch some poker. I think it's a really great spot to be. So I highly recommend. Courtney, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Big thanks again to Courtney for coming on the podcast this week and talking to me for about an hour there. Great to speak with her, and I think you guys will agree. You should check out her channel. It's just, it's really great. So thank you, Courtney. Now, before I let you all go, we have the JS Poker Hero competition coming up. I'm going to sneak a quick plug in here. We are on iTunes and we are on Spotify now. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe on Spotify or iTunes. You can always drop a rating as well. So that Party Poker says like, hey, Jamie, we like this podcast. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep doing this every week. That would be awesome. I'd appreciate that, guys, if we could just do that. So yeah, I just wanted to let you all know in case you wanted to listen as opposed to just watch on YouTube. But let's get into our weekly competition here, where we have a representative of the show playing a big poker tournament on Party Poker every week that we can root on and hope for their success, okay? So last week's competition, we had a winner. Unfortunately, they did not quite make it. They did not cash the KO main event for which he won the ticket. He was in my Twitch channel, hyped up. I know you were sort of nervous but excited for the contest. Fell a little bit short, but thanks for playing. I mean, that's how it works, the higher buy-ins. Now, the winner from last week, we asked for the best cash game story, and the winner is Danny Rondi, who came up with this story. Not a cash game player, but I was in Amsterdam with my girlfriend, and she wanted to buy one pair of shoes quickly. That was obviously a lie. So half an hour while my girlfriend is fitting pants, I sit down on one of those benches they have for men to sit while the girlfriend is shopping, figuring I could play some fast forward. So I launch an NL50 table and I start playing. After 5 minutes, I double up. I joke to my girlfriend I'll pay for her shoes if I do it again. I continue playing while we walk in and out of shops. After an hour, I'm sitting at the table with $200, so I'll have to pay for her shoes. Shopping continues again. I say if I double again, I pay for the pants as well. 30 minutes later, I'm sitting with $350 and find queen, flop a set against lower while we're $200 deep. We get it in and I win. My girlfriend was pretty stoked. I was just happy to have sun run until my phone battery eventually died. There you go, my friend. I mean, free rolling the shopping on vacation in Amsterdam. I mean, that's the dream, dude. Just flick it a couple hands in on the NL50, skip the shopping. I'm with you on that style. I like it. So congratulations. You are going to be into the $215 Party Poker Million this week. Do the podcast strong. Hashtag jspokerhero. Now, if you guys would like to enter this week's competition and win a ticket for next week, here's what you got to do. How much are Party Poker giving away weekly in their updated cash game leaderboard promotion? Winner is going to be chosen at random. That's right. It's a skill testing question where we inform you about something we're doing. See that? The smart minds of Party Poker with the double power there. I see what you're doing. Okay. Well, the winner's going to get a $215 Party Poker Million ticket. You're going to represent us next week. So get your entries in on Twitter. Hashtag jspokerhero. That's it for the show this week. Everyone, thank you so much for taking the time and listening in. Fingers crossed everything works out with YouTube. Courtney Gee, absolute legend. Check her out on Twitch. That's going to be it from me. But until next time, we'll see you later.